Hey everyone, and welcome back to Unique Coin Value. We're all about uncovering the secrets, the history, and the real value of the coins in your pocket. This is the 1981 50-cent piece. It's a coin that sparks a lot of questions. I get messages all the time. Alex, I found a 1981 50-cent coin. Is it rare? Is it worth hundreds of dollars? Today, we are diving deep into the story of this iconic coin. We're going to explore its wild history, break down the hard numbers, and finally answer the question on everyone's mind. What is the real circulated value of a 1981 Australian 50-cent coin? To understand a 1981 coin, we have to go back. Way back to 1966, when Australia switched to decimal currency. The original 50-cent coin was round and made of 80% silver. It was a beautiful, high-value coin, but there was a problem. The price of silver skyrocketed. By 1969, the silver in each coin was worth more than 50 cents. So, the Royal Australian Mint had to make a change, and fast. They needed a new coin, one that couldn't be confused with the old silver ones. Introduced in 1969, the new 50-cent coin was made of cupronickel, 75% copper and 25% nickel. And that distinctive shape? It's a dodecagon, and it was chosen specifically so that even blind people could easily tell it apart from the round 20-cent coin. Now, the design has remained largely the same ever since. The brilliant Arnold Machin portrait of a young Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, and the stunning Australian coat of arms, featuring the kangaroo and emu, on the reverse. So, where does 1981 come in? Well, 1981 is a year that lives in infamy in Australian numismatics because of what happened, or more accurately, what didn't happen. The year before, in 1980, there were no 50-cent coins minted for circulation. Not a single one. The mint had produced millions and millions of them throughout the 1970s, and they simply didn't need any more in 1980. This created a natural gap in the series. Let's get this number up on the screen. In 1981, the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra produced 26.4 million 50-cent coins. Now, let's put that into perspective. A common year like 1979 had about 17 million. 1975 had just over 9 million. And some years in the early 70s were well under 10 million. So, with 26.4 million coins struck, the 1981 is not a low mintage coin. In fact, it's one of the highest mintages for a 50-cent coin in the entire series. So why the myth? Why does everyone think it's rare? The 1980 gap, because no coins were made in 1980, people checking their collections saw the empty spot and assumed the 1981 must be the key date to fill it. This created a high demand from collectors, which was mistaken for low supply. In the early 1980s, 50 cents was still a decent amount of money. People started hoarding them, thinking they were rare. And when you hoard a coin, it disappears from circulation, making it seem even rarer than it is. It's a self-fulfilling prophecy. So no, the 1981 50-cent coin is not rare in the grand scheme of things. But that doesn't mean it's worthless. Okay, this is the section you've been waiting for. What is your worn, circulated 1981 50-cent coin actually worth? The answer depends almost entirely on one thing: its condition. Let's break it down with some real examples. This coin has lived a hard life. It's been in pockets, purses, and vending machines for over 40 years. The details are worn flat. You can barely see the lines on the kangaroo's tail or the feathers on the emu. The rims are soft. This is what we call a cull coin. Honestly, it's only worth its face value to most collectors. You might get $1 from someone who just needs a filler coin for their album. But that's it. This is the most common type you'll find in a collection. It has wear, but all the major features are sharp. You can see the feathers, the kangaroo's face is clear, and the legend Australia is fully readable. There might be some. We're talking. This coin has seen very little circulation. It still has its original mint luster, that shiny cartwheel effect in the fields. All the fine details are pristine. Look at the sharpness of the Queen's hair. The only imperfections are tiny bits of wear on the highest points. A coin in this condition is very desirable. Collectors will pay a significant premium for a problem-free, lustrous AU example. This is a coin that never entered circulation. It was likely stored in a bank bag or obtained directly from the mint. It has absolutely no wear. The surfaces are brilliant, with full, blazing luster. It might have a few minor contact marks from being jostled with other coins, but it is, for all intents and purposes, perfect that a mint state 1981 50-cent coin is a beautiful thing. In lower mint state grades, MS 60-62, you're looking at $15 to $20. But if you have a super high-grade example, say MS 65 or above, you could be looking at $30, $40, or even more. Remember, over 26 million were made, so true gem quality coins are still relatively available, which keeps the price from skyrocketing. Now, what if I told you there's a way your 1981 50-cent coin could be worth hundreds of dollars? It all comes down to errors and varieties. The most famous for this year is the 1981 struck on a New Zealand 50C planchet error. A small number of 1981 Australian 50-cent dies accidentally struck blanks, intended for New Zealand's round 50-cent coin. The result is an Australian design on a smaller, round, and thicker planchet. These are incredibly rare and can be worth over $1,000 depending on condition. But remember, these are the exceptions, not the rule. So let's recap. The 1981 50-cent coin is not rare. It had a massive mintage of 26.4 million for a typical, worn, circulated example that you find in your change or in old jar coins. The value is between 50 cents and $5. It is not a retirement fund. However, if you have one in beautiful, uncirculated condition with luster, you could be looking at $15 to $30. And if, by some miracle, you have a confirmed error coin like the New Zealand planchet strike, you've hit the jackpot. The real value of this coin, perhaps, is in its story. It's a relic from an era of change, a piece of pocket-sized art, and a reminder of one of the most persistent myths in Australian numismatics. So, go check your collections. Look at the condition. And if you have one, now you know exactly what you've got.